Top 15 things you didn't know about the new Ford Bronco. Ford Bronco is one of Ford's most popular vehicles that got discontinued just because it couldn't cope with the quick improvements and modernization in the automobile industry. But the Bronco is coming back, and before talking about the new one, let's discuss some facts about Ford Bronco in order to know how hyped the car was and what we can expect from its reintroduction. So, welcome to my channel, and here are 15 amazing facts about the Ford Bronco. Number 15. So, let's talk about where it all started. The first generation Bronco didn't have the features like power brakes and power steering initially. These features were included in the versions that came after the initial release of Ford Bronco. Moreover, if we look at the Bronco from a modern perspective, it wasn't that huge. It was quite big for that time, but considering how gargantuan SUVs have become, the Bronco looked like something we would call a crossover or a moderately sized SUV. Bronco was also moderately weighed, having a curb weight of around 3,200 pounds. Number 14. Many car enthusiasts modified Bronco over the year, but there was a limited edition Bronco that was released, and right now only 200 of those Broncos exist right now. This was an extremely rare doorless Bronco that was built like a roadster. This was being marketed as a beach car back in the day, and 5,000 of these were manufactured. Even though the car looked pretty cool, and one would have this car in their garage even now, this car turned out to be a failure and it didn't perform well in the market. In the end, the model was discontinued, and if you manage to find this car, you'll have to pay a pretty hefty sum to own this vintage SUV. Number 13. The first generation of the Bronco was an absolute hit. It was a style statement for someone who wanted to show off his wealth and his muscularity back in the days. The first generation of the Bronco was produced from 1966 until 1977. In this time span, Bronco was the best-selling SUV until it started getting some serious competition in 1977 with cars like Chevy K5 Blazer, Plymouth Trail Duster, Dodge Ramcharger, and GMC Jimmy. They started to compete with Bronco. They had better engines and were much bigger than the Bronco, which ended the production of the first generation. Number 12. Speaking of the first generation, Ford was willing to replace the first generation a lot earlier than it was originally replaced. Ford knew a long time ago that the competition would get a lot tougher, and it would be really hard for the first generation Bronco to survive. Therefore, Ford was planning to take the Bronco out of the compact segment and try to enter the full-size market in 1973, considering its competition was also going for bigger-sized SUVs. Sadly, the gas crisis happened that year, and it completely ruined Ford's plans of launching a new generation. This is why Ford had to go with the compact Bronco Tile 1977. Number 11. Decades make a lot of difference when it comes to technology. Similarly, the 1970s and the 1980s were quite different decades, and we saw a new trend in the SUV market. Everyone wanted to make the biggest and most powerful SUV. This is what the second generation of Bronco was supposed to be. Plus, Ford was already working on the third generation of Bronco so that they don't get left behind in the competition. Well, Ford's efforts were useful, as the second generation was a complete short-lived failure of a car. The biggest problem that it had was outdated design. Just after 2 to 3 years, Ford launched and replaced the second generation with the third generation of the Bronco. Number 10. Ford went a little futuristic with this one, as they wanted to get ahead of the competition by any means. This is why Ford decided to see what Bronco would look like in the year 2000. So they took the 1977 Bronco and made some futuristic changes to it. They stripped it down to its chassis and gave a modern look to the 1977 Bronco Montana Lobo. Even though the functioning wasn't that futuristic, considering it worked just like a 1977 Bronco, still it had many features that made it quite unique. Number 9. Ford Bronco was the ultimate off-roading champ back in the days. Whether it's desert safari or dirt riding, Bronco used to be the best vehicle on every occasion. Considering its powerful V8 engine and off-roading capabilities, it was the go-to car in many dirt races back in the days. Ford Bronco used to rule the off-roading market back then. Number 8. Broncos have gone through some changes over the years, whether it's a change in the design, interior, or the main engine. One of its old features was that in 1966, the top in the back was as easy to remove as the hardtop on a convertible, but in the 5th generation Bronco, the feature was strangely removed. Even though the new Broncos had safety features like rear seatbelts, airbags, center brake light, etc., but it didn't have the things that made it unique and famous in the 60s and 70s. The top was fixed, and Ford even went on to delete all the references of the removable top from the manual. Number 7. Many celebrities also customized Ford Bronco, and Ford also made some custom and special Broncos for them. Many celebrities also liked Bronco because of its rugged image, and it used to make them look manlier and more muscular. In 1983, Ford collaborated with Blue Oval, which leads to the first Ford Bronco Eddie Bauer edition. Number 6. In 1966, a Bronco would cost around $2,400. It was a reasonable amount back then for a SUV. But now, a 1966 Bronco is considered an antique car, and it would cost a fortune to someone who wishes to own it as a collectible. A 1966 Bronco now goes in auctions for $50,000. Also, in 2013, a 1969 Ford Bronco went for a world record $500,000 during Barrett Jackson's auction in Scottsdale, Arizona. Number 5. In the early 2000s, many automobile companies were looking to go old school and take inspiration from their vehicles from the 70s and 60s. Ford did something similar with the S197 Mustang and the 2005 206 Ford GT. Ford also made a retro Bronco in the 2000s. The SUV has a 2.0-litre turbo diesel engine. This was a concept Bronco which was displayed at the 2004 Detroit Auto Show, and then the concept car vanished and never got commercialized. Number 4. Ford is set to reintroduce Bronco, and we can expect some significant changes in this one. Broncos were out of production for many years, and this time around, Ford decided to reintroduce one of their best-selling cars. In Ford's annual dealers meeting in November 2018 in Las Vegas, the attendants were introduced to a few new products that were expected to launch in the coming years or months. There are leaks about the upcoming Bronco, and it has some similarities from its previous versions, and it has modern design features as well. The body looked a bit like the new Hummer to me. Number 3. The big Bronco may possibly be followed by a more compact baby Bronco, as it has happened before. At the moment, the only hints about it are the teasers and leaks that are all over the internet, which was associated with the name Adrenaline, a Ford-registered trademark back in Canada in 2018. Only time will tell us what's going to come out of this. Number 2. Of the new specifications we know about the new Bronco, one of them is the possibility that the Getrag 7-speed manual could come with it. For greater power, manual transmissions are essential for off-roading, so this would be a bonus against Jeep's likes. Number 1. The new Bronco is set to release next year after its launch was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2018, Ford announced that it would reintroduce the Mustang of the Dirt. Since then, the launch is being delayed every year. Plus, Bronco is not even a priority for Ford right now, as they are more focused on launching newer versions of cars like Explorer F-Series, Super Duty, and Transit. So we can just hope that Ford launches Bronco soon. That's all for today, folks. Do tell us in the comment section whether you are excited about the upcoming and well-delayed Ford Bronco. If you liked the video, press the like button, and if you are new to this channel and really like the content we're delivering here, how about you press the subscribe button? Also, don't forget to press the bell icon if you want timely updates from our channel. Till then, stay tuned.